So the first of the kits I'm going to show you how to put up are the white Muscari kits. So we have two trio kits. So we have the scalloped white Muscari trio, and then we have the little Muscari trio, and then we have the little Muscari kit. So all come with these gorgeous white Muscari bulbs and the beautiful terracotta pots. So for the scalloped white Muscari kit, it comes in these 10 centimetre sort of delicately scalloped pots and their saucers, there's 3 of those. For the little white Muscari kit, they come in these adorable little 8.5 centimetre pots with the scalloped edge as well. They're in that sort of soft grey and quite a new pot to our collection. They were a sellout last month, so we brought them back. Very, very cute. So that's another sort of trio, perfect for tablescaping. And then the third kit for the Muscari is this, the little Muscari kit. Now, this is one of my favourite pots. I love the height of it, slightly different. I have quite a few of these at home. My makeup brushes are actually in one of these. I just think they're a really versatile pot. Look really lovely on their own with nothing in. Same with all of these pots, to be fair. Look lovely on their own. Can be used for other things, makeup brushes, for example. And also just, yeah, look beautiful with the Muscari. So that's the little Muscari kit. Now this one is quite old. I potted this up when we did the photo shoot for the kit. So 3 weeks ago, so it's still going strong, probably on its last legs. I might get another week out of it. I have neglected it somewhat, to be fair, probably haven't washed it for a while. I'm not practicing what I preach here. Yeah, I've neglected this one, I feel really bad. But I will tell you how to sort of keep the bulbs so you can plant them in the garden. So I'll tell you that a little bit more about that in a minute. So I'm going to pot up one of the kits because it's the same technique for all 3. But I'm actually going to show you 2 techniques so you can choose how you pot up. Only one of those techniques is relevant for the little one, but I will go through that so it will all become clear. Okay, so in your kits you will have your gravel, your compost and your 3 different types of moss. You will have your pots or pot and your Muscari bulbs. So in the slightly larger trio you will have 3 pots of Muscari. In the grey little trio, you will have 2 because those 2 get split up and divided amongst the 3 pots because these are obviously too big to go in the 8.5. And then for the little Muscari, you get 1 pot and that can just go straight in, but I will explain how to do that now. Okay, so you're going to start by adding in your gravel. So just split it. If you've got a trio, just split it amongst the pots. You don't need loads. It's purely just to add an extra bit of drainage, but in our compost we add a significant amount of horticultural grit. The reason being that then your plants and your bulbs will last longer because the drainage is there. So it's all about drainage for most of the plants that we put in our kits. Okay, so you're then going to add your compost. Now I'm going to show you one technique first. So I'm just literally going to put the smallest sprinkle of compost on top of that gravel. I'm then going to take my Muscari and after giving it a water, I'm going to take it out of the plant pot and simply place it in and then just gently push it down. And that is it. It fits perfectly. You don't need any more compost. You will have more compost in your kit because you might choose to do it the other way, which I'm going to show in a sec. And that's it. And then you quite simply add in the moss, which we'll do at the end. So that is the first technique. Simply put a little layer of compost on the bottom after your gravel. Take your Muscari out of the plant pot and put it in and gently push it down. And it fits perfectly. Okay, so that's the option 1. The other technique that you can do is you can add in more of your compost to about sort of 1.5 centimetres below the rim of your pot. Okay, And then you simply take your bulbs, you take them out of their pot, and then you just move this so you can see. Start breaking them apart, just gently, but you know, you can be assertive with them. It's not going to kill them, I promise. So you're taking them apart, and then you're taking bulb by bulb. I like to twist it in the palm of my hand and make a kind of nest underneath the bulb of their roots, and then you simply give it a jiggle and place it into and sort of on top of the compost. Doesn't need, you know, a little hole to sit in. You simply sit it on top. Now with this technique, you might not fit all of the bulbs in. So whether that's a good thing for you, because then you can put them in, you know, the ones that are left over, you put those in something else. Or if you really want all of the bulbs in each pot, I would do the first technique, which is simply just popping your plant pot in. Okay. So I have now got 5 bulbs in here, and I would say there's 2 left. Not sure I'm going to fit them in. I probably could. Do you know what? I'll show you one with all of the bulbs in, where you just sort of push them together a bit more. It's just a bit more kind of compact, I guess, but it does look beautiful. So it's completely up to you whether you want to split them and put them all in nice and compactly. Yeah, see, they do fit, but they're just a bit. No, it does look lovely. It's up to you. Or you can do it where you can save some of the bulbs and put them in another pot that you might have at home. Anyway, let's just move this into here for now. Okay, so then the last pot of the trio. Let's divide that up again. So with the grey little Muscari trio, you would be using, because you've got 2 pots of bulbs, you would be using about 4 bulbs per pot. Okay, so just gently taking them apart, giving them a little twist, just pushing them down. Now I guess if you don't want to use all the bulbs, you will have more space for more moss. So if that's something that you really like the look of this and the aesthetic of all the moss, then put less bulbs in, and you know, put the extras in another pot that you might have at home. So I'm going to put 5 in there, so that leaves me 2. So if, for example, you did this technique for all of your pots, you would and used only 5 bulbs, you would have about 6 bulbs left spare that you can put in something else if you want to, or you can do either one. So can you see there, this one is sort of, you know, quite sort of, I don't know what the word is, quite structured, you know, it's just been placed in there. The bulbs are how they were grown in the pot. Then this one is, they've all been taken apart and they've all been pushed in and like compacted together. And then this one is a little bit more spaced out. In my opinion, I probably like this one. Looking at it from here, this one the best. Excuse me. But you know, you choose whichever method you would rather. I'm just going to put those in there for now. And then we can move on to our moss. Okay. So I'm just going to place that there. So in your kits, you will have 3 different types of moss. You will have your bun moss, which is this type. So you'll just have a little bit of this in your kits, mainly because it's not sort of the easiest moss to use with these kinds of bulbs when you want the bulbs to sit above the rim of the pot, if that makes sense, because it's quite dense. But you will have lots or plenty of the flat moss, which I think is the best moss for these kits. So you've got more of that. That's that sort of carpety moss. It's got a really lovely woodland feel. You'll have like pine needles in there, and you might have pine cones in there. It's a really lovely textured moss. And then the last one is the sphagnum moss. Again, you'll just have a tiny bit of this because it's just to add a bit of texture. It's sort of a two-tone moss. Again, you'll have sort of dried leaves, and that's just to add something, you know, another element to your kits. So we're going to start with the flat moss, and you simply just need to break up your moss and simply just dot it amongst your bulbs. Now, I like to be able to see the sort of papery skins of the bulbs, so I don't like to sort of cover the bulbs up too much. I'm just going to add some of the sphagnum in here. And obviously it's up to you how sort of neat you want it to look. I quite like it when it's all kind of flowing over the sides. Let's do this one. So this is the one with just 5 bulbs in. I also like it when you can see the sort of the roots hanging over. Now, the kind of other benefit of doing these techniques is that you can do something that I think makes it look more aesthetically pleasing, which is you can lift the bulbs. So I will show you what I mean. So I've added in the flat moss there. I'm just going to pop in a little bit of the sphagnum, and then I'll pop a bit of bun moss in. Literally, I'm just taking a teeny tiny bit and just tucking it in there. Now, the bulb kind of lift technique is really just so that you get the look of that papery bulb, and it's just another textural element. So you're simply going to put your fingers either side of the bulb and just gently lift it up. You see there? So I've lifted it all the way up so you can see the bulb, and then I'm just going to gently sort of just push it back down, but not under the moss. So the moss sort of almost goes under the bulb, but you've got the roots under the moss. So you're just going to, again, lift the bulb and then push it down a bit. Lift the bulb, push it down. Lift the bulb, push it down. One of the more satisfying things to do. Okay, and there, as you can see, you can now see these lovely little bulbs above the moss, whereas in this technique, they're more sort of nestled amongst the moss. You can't see them as well. Put that there. And then this is the one where we've used all the bulbs, excuse me. So it's a little bit more kind of crowded, and not in a bad way, in my opinion. Just, you know, you can imagine the florals you'll get when they bloom. Now these are super fresh, so yours will be very similar to this. Pop a bit of sphagnum in, and then a tiny bit of the bun moss. I'm going to take the roots off the back of this, so you simply just pinch and pull off the kind of browner backing of the bun moss, and then I'm just going to tuck it in. Okay, so now I'm going to start lifting. Actually, I'm just going to put a bit more there. Okay, so now we're going to lift these bulbs. Can you see the difference? You can see that gorgeous sort of contrast. There's one hiding down here. I mean, they really are just so gorgeous. I just think they're joy in a pot. Okay, so those are all now potted up, and I'm going to add in the birch twigs. So in your kit, you will have a sort of a little bundle of birch twigs. They're just to add sort of 2 different elements really. One is aesthetics, it just looks really pretty and sort of woodlandy and textured and rustic. And then the other reason we add them in is just to provide a little bit of structure and support to the blooms when they flower. Mainly because they just become a little bit top heavy. And you know, as you can see, this one is leaning against this twig, this one's leaning against this twig, and they are happy and they're sort of entwined and gorgeous. So I'll add these birch twigs in, and then we'll go through some care. So in your bundle, you just simply cut them down or have them as long as you want them. and just sort of maneuver them, push them into the moss and the compost. They don't need to go that far down. Excuse me. You might find some of your birch twigs have sort of little catkins on. So this kind of thing, these little kind of the catkins that come around this time of year. Wait. So I'm sort of putting 3 sort of stems of the birch in each one, and you can put, you'll probably have more than 3, but it's up to you how much you put in. Okay, so let's go through some care for your Muscari kits. Now, Muscari are, in my opinion, so easy to look after, so easy to grow indoors. They're pretty low maintenance. What they do need is some sunlight, so they can go on a windowsill or on a table that you've got windows sort of, you know, the sunlight coming through. They need to be as cool as possible. It's not a big deal if they're in, you know, like a warm room. It doesn't really matter. The only difference that will happen is that they will become a little bit more leggy. So these have been kept in the studio. It's pretty cool in here, hence the gone for comfort with the jumper. You know, it's not sort of, you know, we're not talking like 21 degrees in here. It's probably around the sort of 17 mark in here. And they do really well. They don't go leggy at all. And you know, like I said, this one has been there for weeks and it's doing fine. So the warmer the room, the quicker the stems grow, and therefore the weaker they are. So if you can, keep your pots in somewhere as cool as possible, but don't worry about it if you don't have anywhere cool in your home. Lots of nice sunlight, but again, don't worry too much. They'll still do fine with, you know, like a north-facing room, and keep the soil nice and damp. Don't overwater, because then you run the risk of root rot. But the benefit that we have with the sources is that you can tip out the water. So water them so that the soil, not just the moss, the soil underneath is nice and damp, and then remove any excess water that you have in your sources. And then once they've gone over, so these are kind of, I reckon, yeah, about another week I'll have, I think. Some of them are starting to go brown in the little white bells, the ones at the bottom. So you quite simply deadhead by snipping at the base of the bulb. So you're simply taking the floral off. If it's still okay, you can stick that in a bud vase if you want. It'll give you, you'll probably get a couple of days out of it. And then once all of your florals have gone over, you take them all off and you leave the leaves on your bulb. So for example, here, imagine this little guy's not here and I've snipped him off, he's grown and I've snipped him off. You just want the bulb with the shoots. Okay, you leave those to go yellow. So let them go yellow. What that means is those nutrients that are in those shoots are going back into the bulb. You're really benefiting from the word that I can't say, the photosynthesis. Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's one of those words I really struggle to say. The photosynthesis, you know, process, scientific process, has meant, oh my goodness, means that the nutrients from the leaves have gone right into that bulb so that you are giving it its best chance for next spring. Once it's gone yellow, you then snip it off. So you'd snip it off here, so at the base of the shoots where it meets the bulb, snip those off, pop them in the garden, put them about 10 centimetres down in the soil, facing up, so the way you've snipped pointing upwards, cover them over, forget about them. And then hopefully next spring you will have some beautiful white Muscari in your gardens. There is no reason why not. They are just quite a, they're a hardy bulb, they're pretty robust. So, it's a kit that you can enjoy for the spring in your homes, and then enjoy hopefully next spring in your gardens. So there you have it. You have your 3 Muscari kits. So you have your little Muscari kit, your little Muscari trio kit, and your scalloped white Muscari trio kit.